Welcome back to Inside Kart. In this week's Honda Pit Pass, Larry Henry takes us high-tech with the Pi Research team.
It wasn't that long ago that Champ Car racing was a seat-of-the-pants affair. A driver would go out onto the track, run his car, then come back in and tell his chief mechanic how the car was handling. Together, they'd come up with an idea of what the problem was and how to fix it. Now those days are long gone, thanks to the advent of the onboard sensor and Pi Research.
If you go back in the old days, they had the analog gauges. So the driver would look at a gauge on the dash and the oil temperature or oil pressure would be something. He'd come in and talk to the crew and they would take down notes. From that, you got into putting a box on the car, sending sensors out to the engine, to the chassis, to the driver. All that information is recorded, so afterwards the individuals of the team can take that information, break it down and analyze it to see what the car is doing basically at every point on the track. So the engine people can look at their data, the chassis people can look at their data, and the driver might take some data and look at his steering and throttle traces and such.
And it's not just one or two items that the Pi sensors are looking at.
The current system has as many as 48 channels, which is each channel can be a sensor basically. So you're talking a lot of data can be measured. On any given race weekend, we're probably using 12 to 25 channels. They do limit the amount of channels you can measure during a race weekend, but there are teams that will test using all 48 channels, using everything from laser ride height sensors to aero sensors. We've got a torque sensor now that can measure torque on the shaft, to measure engine performance and some other things. There are some teams that are pretty proud when we go into their shop and they show us a fully loaded car with wires almost everywhere, all going to a sensor.
What makes the sensor system work is the box.
The basic box is the main control unit. It is basically like a flight recorder on an aircraft. It's the main box. It's got a memory just to log all the channels coming into it through the looms on the car. Our top-of-the-line box has a computer on it, so you can do some math channels. You might take some data that's measured and through math channels calculate something that you really can't measure, but you can approximate it through some good calculations. You can display that channel. One they do a lot is center of pressure of the aerodynamics on the car. That's a calculated value they can determine using some measured channels. That's the heart of the box. There are other littler boxes throughout the car that are junction boxes where you connect the sensors into and then they go back to the main box.
But no matter how good the information is from the sensors, it still comes down to the human element to make it work.
The best teams really may not be the ones getting all the data, but they're the ones that can take the information from the driver, look at the information they get from our system, have a good engineer, and correlate all that together to come up with the characteristics of why a car is doing something and how to improve it.